We need a little hope in the world right now. It is particularly rough. So this
Sprinkle.
one, yes, a little more lighthearted, a little closer to home. Actually, it's calling from inside the house, most likely. This story is coming to us from the New York Times, very substantial, by Sridhar Pappu. Like many spouses, kindred spirits has a lot of marital grievances, but hers are not like everyone else's. There was a time when her husband, Peter, left an envelope with thousands of dollars of cash on the roof of his car and drove off. Or the time he left their son's car seat on the side of the road. No indication the child was in the car seat at the time. Yeah, being married to a stoner can be really frustrating, Mrs. Sparks said. It really tests your patience when you are clear-headed and when your partner is not. Miss Sparks is one half of this new kind of American couple. I don't think it's all that new, folks. Made up of one person who partakes in cannabis use and one who does not. And with adult use cannabis, or as they call it, recreational marijuana, now legal in more than 20 states, a joint or cannabis gummy has become as routine as a glass of Chardonnay in some quarters. But as the drug enters the mainstream of American social life, the rules surrounding its usage can be, well, hazy, as many couples are trying to figure out how to fit it into their lives with the least disruption. Now, this particular article goes on for quite a while to talk about several different couples and how they've reached various compromises on cannabis. For one couple who both work in the cannabis industry, the husband smokes and the wife stopped smoking when she became pregnant with her first child and never went back to it. Their compromise is the husband consumes gummies after the wife and kids go to bed. Later in the article, the chief executive of a matchmaking firm said that the issue of adult use cannabis had come up more in the last couple of years among her clients. If you are a smoker or enjoy edibles or whatever, you have to communicate that openly and effectively with your partner. And then, as partnership going forward, you have to decide how to compromise if the other person does not enjoy the activity and you do. Um, Rather than read the details, because all of us have or have had partners, I thought it would also be a little bit fun to save the time for talking about it. Because I know in my personal life, like similar to discussions about, in anyone's life, drinking socially. Drinking, I think, is another really clear example of needing to have that clear communication, not just of where and how often one might be drinking, but also if you're drinking, not just socially, but home alone by yourself when maybe the kids could use a bath. So it could also potentially be comparable to an obsessive hobby or just a strong hobby. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in religious practices, which might be hot for some people. But I say that because cannabis truly does reach a fervor as truly important to some people, especially if they're viewing it as their medicine or their little helper that gets them through the day. And while cannabis isn't as chemically addictive as cigarettes or alcohol, and cigarettes are, secondhand smoke, alcohol behaviors, those around you, increases in domestic violence and accidents. Cannabis is truly a harm reduction technique. And I wonder what these partners might be utilizing as their crutch if they didn't have cannabis as well. Um, I left an alcoholic years ago. Alcohol was a major inflection for my grandmother. My grandfather died of alcoholism, and it's living with an alcoholic is, uh, you know, talk about leaving $1,000 on the roof. Let me tell you about the thousands of dollars lost in gambling at the bar. Like, I mean, it's just, pick a problem. Um, and to the point of forcing a partner to give up something that they care about in order to be with you. One of these women actually said she divorced her first husband because she felt he smoked too much cannabis, and now her second husband smokes cannabis, but that's okay. Um, it also just makes me wonder how much of this is societal pressure and stigma versus just the behaviors of an absent-minded jackass who also happens to enjoy cannabis. Cannabis doesn't make you stupid. It's just stupid people also like cannabis. And it's not causation, it's correlation, once again, as we talked about it. So, yeah, I'd love to open up that conversation.
Oh man, I mean, isn't this what man caves are for, Dale?
Woman caves. I mean, I did not marry an army boy because I sat down and realized, oh shit, I'm never going to be able to smoke weed again. And I realized I loved cannabis more than him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's shit's real.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jeff brought me flowers.
Oh, look at, was it a weed flower? Like the one in the back?
Yeah, yeah. I never been a fan of cut flowers because I always felt like it was a waste of money. And then years in, I made a comment that I liked Jeff because he didn't waste money on flowers, and he like his whole face just so crushed. He's like, I brought you so many flowers when we were dating, and I'm like, oh, he
Mm-hmm.
did.
You know what?
It's
You
just
know what's funny is I always, anytime I give women weed, I'll be like, "This is your flowers. Here you go.
these are your
Enjoy.
flowers.
Yes, these are your flowers. These are the
It's
flowers you like
true. I
better."
married a grower. That's who I
Yes.
married and had kids with.
See, see,
It's
Dan.
better than the plant behind me. He's mad at me. I don't do well growing. I forgot to water it for two
Just,
days, so
just
please
some,
don't blame.
just some water. Just
Not
some
me.
water.
I teach politics and science. I do not teach growing.
They'll teach
Just
you
to be
all
clear.
about watering plants at Oaksterdam University.
I am not as thirsty as my plant. I have Mr. Jones. Yes, but I'm gonna be in so much trouble for this.
Oh man, this is great.
He's teaching garden club right now, so he can't hear me.
Oh, don't
But
worry. Well, I'll make sure to text him the link to
staff's
this
gonna tell him
episode.
later,
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna be in trouble.
I'm gonna send him the link to
Yes.
this episode so he can make sure to tune in and watch it later.
Oh, you're just a stand-up guy,
That's
Jason.
what
I
I do.
appreciate it.
I'm here for the people.
You just got to communicate. That's the point of the story.
Just communication.
Communication.
I mean, don't you find it a little
Communication.
Enrico?
Words.
You're on mute, but don't you find it a little hypocritical of the woman who was with one husband and didn't like cannabis consumption, and then all of a sudden got a new one, and now she's cool with it? Or do you think she
Yeah.
just evolved on the issue like other
When
politicians?
when I was out there in them streets, man, I was out there single. That was a huge red flag. If she didn't smoke weed, I would not. If there's a prerequisite, you gotta
It's
love weed and gotta love
it's
dogs.
actually
That was
cheaper,
it.
bro. It's actually
You don't
cheaper
like
though,
dogs,
Rico. It's actually cheaper if she
you
doesn't
don't
like
like
weed.
dogs, you don't like weed.
It's cheaper
How's
if
it
she
cheaper
doesn't
when she
like
doesn't
weed.
like weed?
Yeah, then it's like one less thing.
I used
Cheaper.
to think I was a cheap date
She
because I'm a
can bring her own.
vegetarian who didn't drink,
Why, why,
but
why can't
Mm-hmm.
she bring her own, man? I'm a feminist. She can bring her shit to the party. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're a feminist now. Interesting.
You can
Interesting.
be a part-time provider, part-time supporter. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
I'm a
Come on,
feminist
man.
when I'm
You
you're
can
cutting
support
sorry.
black.
clones. I'm a feminist when I'm cutting clones, Rico.
It's not in my household. In my household, it's man work.
See?
Yeah,
It's man work.
cook. Like he grows the flowers.
Well, that's the man work is providing, and that's what that does is provide. So he's
That's right.
tilling the land.
He's an excellent
Yeah.
provider.
Shout out to the
Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Joneses out
Right.
there, keeping up with the
Yeah.
Joneses today. Man.
Few days.
Anybody else on the team? You
Yeah,
ever
everyone got
you ever
quiet. I'm like, let's talk about our partners. Y'all are like, nope.
Yep. Yep. I
No,
got crickets up here.
yeah.
Y'all
Better
want to
than
talk
me.
about?
Why don't we take a poll in the chat here on YouTube? And so the folks who are in
Y'all
YouTube,
still hiding? Y'all still in the
does your
shadows?
spouse
Told
smoke
me
or
never to
not?
look at show, so I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what y'all are saying.
Adam.
Yes or no?
Adam, can you throw a poll up in the chat? Does your spouse smoke? Yes or no?
Your
I
significant
assume
So
other
I,
no.
I
doesn't have
think
to be.
you guys know that my story was I went to a Grateful Dead concert. I smelled the weed and I was like, I want to smoke the weed that I smell at the Grateful Dead concert, which was really great NorCal weed that was coming across the country out to New Jersey and New York. And then I said, well, I looked around at all the girls at the Grateful Dead. I said, I want to marry myself a Grateful Dead smoking girl. And that's what I did. And I'm 27 years married, happily married. And I think that's the secret to my success.
We're
Love
good
that.
girls, those power
Love that.
girls. Congrats,
So, so,
Dr.
so,
Umar.
yeah. So we
It's
gotta keep it
crushing the
rolling.
goals right there.
Oh, there's
We're running out
Stone.
of time
There's
here.
Stone. What's going on, Stone?
Yeah. So
Stone
yeah,
must
we
have
are
wanted to
running out
talk
of.
about his man cave.
Surprise.
Oh, I
You wanted
guess
to come
so.
talk about his partner smoking weed?
We're at
No.
55. Gotta keep it